Hi, and greetings to everybody. This is Shahbaz Khan, and I'm back here again with yet another English lesson. And again, this time, bringing you another lecture of my grammar series. So, without further ado, let us get started. So, again, to start the time with the name of Almighty Lord, who is the most gracious and the most merciful. As you can see on the screen, this time it is the seventh lecture of my grammar series, as you can see. And to remind you, it is actually a sequel of the previous lecture that you have of adjective and its categories, where we talked about the categories of adjective as the types of adjectives, as you better remember. And today, without further ado, let us continue to the variations of adjective. Now, what exactly do I mean by the word variation? It's another way to say type, or it's another way to say another category. So, they are, in other words, called additional types. So, things can be put a lot easier than if discussed this way. So, that's another type. That's more like the constructed types from the existing categories or existing types of adjectives. I hope this has clarified to you. So without further ado, let us talk about the additional prospects or additional types, or in other words, the variations of adjectives. So here we go. So on your screen now, the first of which is exclamatory adjective, majorly a combination of both demonstrative and interrogative adjective. The second is indefinite adjective. Again, a contrast of demonstrative adjective and demonstrative adjective, in other words, also known as definite adjective. So there are plenty more names we may not have, may not be able to discuss here or anytime. But so once you become a researcher yourself, you'll come to know plenty more constructed variations or names like that. The third is appositive adjective. Now that's one new thing to you. We'll discuss about that. The next is compound adjective, and then we have common adjective, followed by proper one. Then the second last, cardinal adjective, and last but not the least, ordinal adjective. Now these are the variations which are actually constructed from the existing categories of adjective. As you remember, there are only two categories we have, and the first of which would be determiners, and the other was descriptions. So view that preceding lecture for a better acknowledgement if you are joining me right now. So moving on. So that exclamatory adjective, we talk about that. Um, like expressing strong expressions, emotions, or feelings in the likes of how and what. When we begin our sentences from either how or what, more it is for how. How is that genuine? What you can say exclamatory adjective, but we can simply attach what in as many as you can see sentences here as the second one coming before you. How amazing you look. It's the feeling that you generate in yourself by looking at somebody and by actually feeling that inferior complex for you. In other words, what a way to finish the job. It's not that is how we somehow greet someone when someone does things extraordinarily. So what and how are like such words, more like questionary words, which are actually not used for question here, but they are definitely to show the strong emotions or feelings. So they are definitely taken from interrogative section. So the second on your screen, second type on your screen is in shape of an example. The chief has sent many participants back to home. Now you need to understand indefinite adjective, which actually does not talk about any specific description of any noun or any pronoun. Say, for example, we talk about participants here. So participants is definitely a noun. So we are actually describing a noun in a whole new way, in shape of many. So that many is not actually specifying what participants we really are talking about. We can replace many to any, like every, like each. Those can be such indefinite adjectives which are not really specifying what participants or what nouns you're talking about. Sometimes you can even combine the two words. What do I mean by this? For example, if I have many and participants, both are like the two different words, taking different meanings altogether. If we combine them and construct or replace, if we throw the words and use in place of them, like everyone. So everyone could be another example. Like the chief has sent everyone back to home, anyone back to home, no one back to home. So these are like indefinite adjectives. More example would be discussed inshallah later on. The third of which is a positive adjective. Now that is what you need to learn as a new, whole new thing for you. Like a positive here means is something that is used in position of something. Like it it is more like nouns which remain noun, which may be adjective, which may become adjective, no doubt about that. But being noun, they are actually used in place of uh, noun, in place of adjectives, or in place of a description. For example, the building ancient and antique is still standing. Now antique is a common noun. Like antique is a word that is noun. Ancient is taken as a noun, but is like an adjective. So whatever it is, that's the place of a noun, and it is, these are nouns as you can see on the screen, but yet they are placed in place of adjective as you can see on the screen. So it's like I'm using nouns, not in a place of noun really, but in a place of adjective, or I'm using nouns actually to modify um, another noun. Like building is a genuine noun, and I'm modifying it by using more other nouns in the position of adjectives. So that is why it is called a positive adjective. Means such nouns or such adjectives which are used as adjectives, or when seen differently, they are different word classes. So the next is compound adjective. As you can see examples here, peace loving, both are the words either joined together by hyphen or solidly. As you can see, evil-eyed, ill-tempered, long-lasting, never-lasting, everlasting, um, warlike. These are more examples. Downright, which means complete or total, etc. Now, sometimes we have hyphen to attach with in between the two of the words, or sometimes we skip hyphen. So these may be the examples. Then we have common adjective, which express, such adjectives express common, qualities. Say good, bad, peaceful, inner, outer, northern, southern, etc. And when we talk about, in contrast of this, the positive, the proper adjective, it is actually formed from proper noun. Now, do view that lecture of noun and its types. You'll come to know what proper nouns are. Like Chinese, African, American, Shakespearean. Oh my God! Like American, African are well known when you're talking about the nationality or belonging of someone to his or her, place of birth, something like. But Shakespearean is like a constructed way to say. So we can simply construct such ways. Like I live in a society where there are so many, people who live in Karachi, so they call themselves Karachites. So in this way, they can be taken as proper adjective, more like proper noun as well. So they are, you can construct proper adjectives, as you can see what I'm trying to say by giving you an example of Shakespearean. And then we have cardinal. Now, when we talk about normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., like 1, 10, 15, and when we talk about their orders, so they become ordinal adjectives as first, 10th, 15, etc. So that's all for today. Wait for the next lecture and we will talk about the degrees of adjectives. So, until next time, it is goodbye.